o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call to order our regular session of May 28, 2019. The first order of business this evening is the opening prayer, the pledges of allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas, which will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Hayward. If you all join me in standing, please.
Let's bow, please. Our wise and loving Father, I come to you thanking you on behalf of all who are here that you allowed us to arrive safely. I want to thank you for the many blessings you've bestowed upon us. Thank you for life itself. Thank you for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Father, I ask as we make decisions here tonight that you grant us the wisdom and the confidence we need to make the right decisions for those we serve. Father, I ask you to continue to give us the ability to work in harmony with one another, even if we do not agree. Father, I ask that you continue to watch over and protect and give guidance to our city staff and our many committees that help aid in making this a great city. Father God, I want to thank you for the courageous men and women who have chosen dangerous jobs, our police, fire, EMS, and as well as our military members. Thank you for giving the capacity to serve and sacrifice for a cause greater than oneself. Thank you for their sacrifice. Thank you for their family sacrifice as well. Help them to feel the respect and gratitude of this community. Father, and as we leave here tonight, put your strong arm of protection around us until we meet again. I ask these blessings and thanksgivings in your Son's name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Hayward. All right, first thing we're going to do this evening, we're going to employee recognition. We're going to introduce Mr. Charles Kelm, our new Assistant City Manager, and I believe that Dr. Brown has the honors.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and all of our residents. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. We want to formally introduce Charles Kelm as our new Assistant City Manager, and we're all very excited to have Charles, and he's already off to a great start, doing a great job for us. Just a little bit about his background. He came to us as a principal and executive director of project execution for Alpha Facility Solutions, and in that position he provided strategic guidance to teams and project managers in facility condition assessment, capital planning, maintenance management, investment strategy, space planning, and life cycle management delivery. In addition, Charles served in the United States Air Force for 21 years, from 1996 to 2017. He retired in the rank of colonel as the deputy director and the senior military leader of the Air Force Civil Engineering Agency. In addition to that, he also had the privilege of leading the 87th Mission Support Group at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, where he guided and mentored 3,700 personnel in 6 uniquely different organizations, providing operational support and quality of life programs for 38,000 people in 4,000 facilities across 42,000 acres. He holds a Master of Science degree in National Security Strategy from the National War College in Washington, D.C., a Master of Business Administration from Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri, a Certificate in Legislative Studies from Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas. He is a distinguished graduate from the Naval School of Explosive Ordnance Disposal. He's also a registered project management professional and engineer in training. He has been recognized as an Air Force Federal Engineer of the Year and Top 10 DoD Engineer of the Year. He has also been awarded the Legion of Merit, several Air Force Meritorious Service Medals, and other decorations for his service. So he comes to us with fantastic qualifications, and he is our Assistant City Manager over public safety, human resources, and facilities and fleet management. So please welcome Mr. Charles Kelm. Mr. Kelm.
Dr. Brown, Council, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm extremely excited at the possibilities to continue to serve this great city that we call home. So thank you very much for your time and what you do, and thank you all very much for this opportunity, all these fine men and women.
Very good. Thank you. We're very happy to have you with us and look forward to a long career with it. Very good. All right, next up, you can see all these folks here. We have a presentation by our EMS department regarding cardiac arrest survivors. Mr. Mabbitt and crew.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and Dr. Brown. So it's been a great EMS week, and we thought we'd end it with some honoring of some of our folks. I think Dr. Butter is here as well. Dr. Butter, can you come up? Come on up, Dr. Butter.
Yeah, come on up. Don't hide in the back.
He's hiding. We won't let him. All right, EMS week just isn't about EMS. It's about their dispatchers. That's where the call starts. They calm the patient. They give instructions to our family members. The police officer on patrol who hears the call go out, responds for help. And, of course, our first responders and fire departments who are medically trained to assist. And, of course, our medical director, Dr. Butter, as well. He allows us to operate under his medical license and who approves all of our protocols. So we appreciate that as well. All right, I'm going to tell you about a couple calls. On October 3rd, if the following could come up, FTO Chris Forrester, paramedic David Gonzalez, paramedic Alan Schultz. And then from Schertz Fire Department, Lieutenant Rolfing, and then firefighters Jewett and Von Hoven. They were dispatched to an unconscious patient, and within 5 minutes of receiving the call, our ambulance and the fire departments arrived on scene. This was a Schertz resident. As they were pulled up, the patient was found in a car. That's sometimes what happens when loved ones feel like, hey, something's wrong with my family member. I'm going to see if I can get him in the car and go to the hospital. Unfortunately, he became unresponsive. He had agonal respirations, which means he wasn't breathing very well, and a weak pulse. We immediately placed him on a stretcher and into the ambulance, and we were assisting his airway with his ventilations. Once in the ambulance, he lost pulses, and we immediately began CPR. Placed the patient on our Lucas devices, where we continued CPR. We gave the patient epinephrine, and after about 4 minutes of doing that CPR, the patient actually regained pulses. This patient could not be here tonight. He's actually at an event with one of his grandkids, but he wouldn't be able to be here if it wasn't for these crews right here.
Fantastic.
This next call, Kira's here today. Kira, if you and your mom could come up. And then, of course, paramedic Wes Daly, paramedic Amanda Hausman. And then from Bracken Fire Department, firefighters Velasquez, Valdez, and Luke. Come on up. This is Kira. She was driving with Mom. Well, Mom was driving. And Mom noticed that she wasn't responding at all. So she looked in the back. She called 911. And, of course, Bracken Fire Department immediately arrived, found her not breathing, with a weak pulse, barely palpable pulse. They immediately began CPR. Our crew arrived, and it was determined she was having an anaphylactic reaction to something she ate. Our crew continued several different types of breathing medications, a steroid, Benadryl, which stopped the reaction, and her condition improved, and she became a lot more responsive once she got to the hospital, and here she is today because of our crews. This was in March of this year. This was a resident of Live Oak. FTO, Chris Forster, paramedic Amanda Hausman, and then from Live Oak Fire Department, Captain Johnson, firefighters Gonzalez, Ackroyd, and Mabry. Come on up. We were dispatched to an unconscious patient. As we arrived on scene, within 7 minutes of being dispatched, we found the patient not breathing and with no pulse. We immediately managed the airway. After about 6 minutes, the patient actually regained pulses. So we didn't really like the rhythm that she was in, so we actually shocked the rhythm that she actually converted into to a rhythm we liked, and she was actually later discharged. She's actually working tonight till 8. So she couldn't be here because she's actually working. So, but thanks to our folks, she's here today. So, thank you to our. All right, this call was in April. FTO Brian Salgi, paramedics Raul De Leon, and paramedic Adam Rahach. And then from Schertz Fire Department, Lieutenant Craig Starr, firefighters Kellum and Armstrong, come on up. And Officer Jason Hanley was here from the Schertz Police Department as well. On this call, we were actually called for a drowning. En route, we were advised CPR was in progress. Officer Jason Hanley immediately heard that call come out. He immediately responded. He noticed that the roommate was actually started CPR. He took over compressions and noticed that the patient actually started coughing up some water. When our fire department and our ambulance arrived, obviously he had copious amounts of water in his airway, where we suctioned his airway and continued to assist his breathing. And he was actually able to communicate en route to the hospital. This young man, 34 years old, he actually was able to be PCS'd out to New Jersey, and that's where he is right now. So he was PCS, so he's alive because of our crew.
Fantastic.
This is a special call we had. This was, hold on, let me get to that. October of last year, the city decided to have a shred day, and not knowing if it's going to be a good turnout or not, this was a very good turnout. And we had a few of y'all helping with this, and this councilman was working very hard, and he started to have some blurred vision, knew something wasn't right. He did the right thing, called for EMS. Our crew arrived, found him pale, clammy. We put him in the ambulance and put him on our heart monitor, and that is his rhythm. And for the cardiologist in the room, it doesn't look good. It's fast. At the highest is 170 beats per minute, which is not good. So 60 to 100 is usually what's best. And the rhythm is called atrial fibrillation with a rapid ventricular response. And you don't want to be in that too long. Our paramedic Mike Rice, he's here. And our MIH paramedic Denise Connors, back when she was on the ambulance, arrived. Started an IV, gave him some fluids, gave him medicine to slow that heart rate down as well. And he's here up on the dais, Councilman Davis. I didn't put your age. Notice I did that? I thought that was nice of me.
Yeah.
But thanks to their hard work, he's able to join us today here at Council.
Very nice.
We would like to thank everyone up here, of course, and of course City Council for their support. We actually got today our challenge coins and for our department challenge coins, so we would actually like to give all of council one of our challenge coins. Brandon and Mike have them.
So that all of you that are up here up front, if you'll stay for this next portion as well, please. Break. They're expensive. First thing I'd like to do is read this proclamation and then share a couple comments with you. And it reads, whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, first responders, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, in appreciation of their valuable contribution to the City of Schertz and the surrounding communities, the City of Schertz and the City of Schertz City Council hereby commend and congratulate Schertz Emergency Medical Services for the outstanding dedication and pre-hospital medical care to the citizens of the area, and hereby join the United States and the state of Texas, designating May 19 to 25, 2019 as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme, Beyond the Call. So I was blessed enough to be able to join our EMS team at their awards banquet this past week. And Jason bravely allowed me to have the microphone for a minute or two, knowing what happens sometimes if you give a public official a microphone. And I told the team this, you know, I've been doing this for a little while. I get the chance to travel with my day job. And people will, when they find out that I'm a mayor of a city, they say, what's the neatest, what's the coolest thing that happens in your city? What's the thing that stands out for you? And there's lots of things that do. The event you got to see here tonight is the one I talk about most often. I said, your chances of surviving a heart attack, particularly a STEMI in the city of Schertz, is extraordinarily high. It's because of the work that these folks do. I said, once a year, absolutely. And I tell people that once a year we get to have a first birthday party. And they go, well, what are you talking about, a first birthday party? It's for all the folks that have flatlined and we've brought them back. They've brought them back. And I said, it's one of the most extraordinary things that you might ever see. And several years ago, there was a gentleman that came in that was revived, and he walked up here with one kid in each arm. And that stands out for you when you see that. So with that, I'll turn this over to Mr. Mabbitt or Dr. Butter or anybody that would like to add anything else. But I'll ask you to join me one more time in a round of applause for what these folks do. All right, as these folks are making their way out of the room, we're going to go ahead and move forward with city events and announcements, and we'll start off with announcements of upcoming city events. Mrs. Gonzalez.
Thank you very much, Mayor. These are relatively short tonight, so this coming Friday, May 31st, is the SSLGC plant tour for council. If you would like to go and have not already let Brenda or Gail know, please let them know. We'll be back here next Tuesday, June 4th, for a regularly scheduled city council meeting at 6 p.m. And then just a heads up, on Monday, June 10th, the library will be opening at noon. Library staff will be in a telephone system training that morning, so there'll be a delayed opening at noon. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am. Next up, announcements and recognitions by the city manager. Dr. Brown.
I don't have any tonight, Mayor.
And I'll forgo any other announcements or recognitions as well, so we can get straight to hearing of residents. A lot of you have signed up. We want to make sure that we get to you immediately. We do ask that you keep comments to about 3 minutes, but I got a little bit of room here on the chair if you need to go a little bit longer. We will make sure that everybody gets a chance to be heard, just to be 100% sure that everyone who wishes to speak gets to do so. When I finish the list, and I'm going to allow Mr. Fowler to go last. He's got something he'd like to read to the group. I'm going to break with protocol a little bit unless anybody on council objects. If you did not sign up, and at the end you would like to say something, I'll make sure to give you an opportunity to come and do so. Okay? All right, so let's begin then with Michelle Oden. Oh, and I apologize. The city secretary always reminds me, if you would please state your name and your address so that she can capture it for the minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Michelle Oden, and I live at 5801 Black Diamond. My house backs the 14th tee of the Northcliffe Golf Course. And naturally, not naturally, actually I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I put my name down because I think that this is an important enough issue to at least voice some concerns that I have had, or at least that my husband is tired of hearing me speak about. So I think for all of us, and I know there's a lot of people that want to speak, so I'll keep this as brief as I can. Naturally, for us, we've only been in the neighborhood 4 years, a lot shorter than many of the residents that are here that have spent many, many years living in the neighborhood. But we become part of the neighborhood, and so we are definitely concerned about what the future of the golf course holds. This has become an area where we have 2 children, and this has become an area where we have taken them out to the golf course to learn the game. We have taken them out to spend time with our children. We've used it as an opportunity to bond with our children and teach them that something other than Fortnite really does exist. And so to see this, to have heard the news in such a manner that we did, which is kind of like, oh, by the way, we're closing on Monday, was a shock to say the least. And it raised a whole bunch of issues of, okay, who's going to maintain the course? Are we going to be, as I said, we back the 14th tee. Are we going to be looking at 4 or 5 foot high grounds because there's no one there to maintain it? What does this mean for our future? My children want to play golf. My son is going into 7th grade. Most of the children in the junior high and high school, they go to the practice. What does that mean for them? So there's a lot of unanswered questions. I did a lot of research, and I found a lot of information about people and the owners. It doesn't look like they're anywhere near our area. They're a Wyoming company that owns the actual grounds, but at least they've paid their taxes, so that's good. But we do have some concerns, and I would like to know, I don't know if y'all have answers to those questions yet, but we can't go to Wyoming and ask, or actually the owner's in Pittsburgh, he's a lawyer out of Pittsburgh. We can't go over there and say, hey, what are you going to do? So our only option is to come to you and say, we need your help. We need your help in being able to sustain, not just for the property values of our home, not just so we can maintain our taxes and have something to be proud of, but just so we have the green space, so we have the time with our children, the time with our family, the time for ourselves. A lot of the people in the neighborhood are retired, but they go out there as a way to get out of the house, a way to do something, a way to keep active. There are so many benefits to this that I would like for you all to not just forget us. We are residents, we are here, we need your help, and that you're the only people we can go to. And so that's what I wanted to say tonight, and I thank you.
Very good. Well put. Sorry, I forgot the readers. Next up, and I apologize, looks like Virginia. And I apologize. Collier. Koyer. Okay, Koyer. My wife's going to make fun of me tonight that I'd left my readers at home. Good evening.
I'm Virginia Kobiak. I live at 3322 Wimbledon Street. And I have a beautiful view of the golf course. And I cherish it every day. And this is the third time that I can remember in the last 20 years, I've been a 30-year resident, that we have complained, fought, disagreed, agreed, made different changes about this golf course. We need something that needs for the people to finally come to an end on this situation. What are we going to do with it? It's been designated as a golf course that was voted on by this, not this council, but some of the people in this council. And we just need to have you know that we are very concerned about it. If it goes to pot, we're the ones that are going to suffer. They've got snakes over there in those waters and everything else. Rats will be coming up. You'll be getting calls every day. And if you don't think about doing something soon, we may have to. I guess that's what the only thing that we have as a resident. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next up, looks like Ken Yemens. And if I mispronounce your name, please correct me.
You did better than most.
Very fine. Okay. All right, go ahead.
I don't have a great speech like the rest of these folks did, just a few bullet points. I've lived on the golf course out here since 1995. Always need a little help. So it's where I get my game in. And we've been down this road a few times before, ups and downs on the course and so forth. And we've been shut down, it seems, a few times by the group of folks that sit up here. Our idea of parks and recreation in the city of Schertz so far appears to be swimming pools, slides, swing sets, and sandboxes. We had an event recently for our EMS people, a golf event that had to be held out of town. Could have been held at Northcliffe, for instance. Our place is a place where winter visitors come. We have a lot of Canadian folks that come down and play on our golf course every year. So we are a destination because of the golf course for some of our winter visitors. I look at other towns, Seguin, the Starkey Park, Universal City, New Braunfels, all of these towns that are, I'd say, a little lower status than the city of Schertz, have their own place for their residents to play. And I think we need to be a little more than simply a bedroom community for our people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Donald Snyder.
Good evening. I'm Donald Snyder. I live at 3501 Wimbledon Drive in Cibolo. Actually, Schertz, but Cibolo postage address. I'm here to talk about the golf course as well. I echo the concerns that my fellow residents have had. I have long-term concerns, of course, about what's going to happen eventually. And as I've been thinking over the holiday weekend about what an opportunity we have, whether the golf course remains a golf course or becomes a wonderful park or some kind of another asset to the city, I think it's great. I also have some short-term concerns, as someone said before. We've had some rat issues in our in our area. We've had coyote issues, and if that golf course is allowed to not be maintained, those issues could get much worse. And so I'm concerned about both the short term, what's going to happen immediately, and then the long-term effects of the golf course and what you as a body could vision for the future of that area and the future of our city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Dean Dawson.
Good evening. My name is Dean Dawson. I live at 3325 Columbia Drive. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us this evening. I would like to express a few points. We've lived in the community for 4 years. We enjoy the view. When we're coming up I-35, we can easily point out the community and say, that's where we live. It's very easy for our friends to come and visit us from out of town and out of state. The thing is I wanted to point out, I'm sure you're aware of it, but Schertz has an opportunity to turn this property, this golf course, into a much more prettier golf course. They have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to showcase this as a crown jewel of the city. This is really an opportunity. This is really an opportunity for the city to really showcase what Schertz is all about. Schertz, I used to love seeing the sign that said, is the city that has San Antonio as a subdivision there, you know? So,
By the way, I'll give you the time back. That was Mr. Edwards that came up with that in a planning session in 2008.
I would like to commend Mr. Edwards for that.
Oh, it's going back up. As soon as we get the new mayor elected in San Antonio, we're going to put it right back up, send him a picture.
And I just wanted to point out, yes, we have out-of-town visitors coming to the city. They like to come out this way, and I can say that personally. But the thing, too, is that our city also uses it as an opportunity for our young people on the golf course to learn how to play golf. There are many scholarships waiting for those young people. This is an opportunity to let the city have her own identity. And again, I will just say it again. It is an opportunity to let this golf course be the crown jewel for the city. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Norman Shaheen?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name's Norman Shaheen. I live at 3820 Pheasant. I'm in the Schertz Scenic Hills community. I'm president of the association. We have numerous homes along the number 1 fairway. Those residents are concerned, as well as the rest of our community, like the rest of them have been speaking here, what's going to happen to our golf course. I know it's early because the change is just now coming about. But we're concerned if the maintenance of it, how it affects our property values. We have a golf path that comes into that course. We use it. And to lose it, I agree, we would be losing a crown jewel. The golf course could use some input of finances to help it, build it, keep it going for us. To lose it would be a concern for us. And we're hoping that the City Council can give us some insight as to what you think might happen, and you could help us by giving that, kind of squelch the rumors. The rumors are going rampant as to what's going to happen out there. So your help would be appreciated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Ray Martin?
Mayor, council members, Thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand up here and talk. My name is Ray Martin. I live at 5701 Whistling Straits. I'm also president of the Homeowners Association Fairways of Scenic Hills. I moved out here about 9 years ago. I've lived in, not that I've moved around a lot, but I've always lived in small towns. The biggest thing I tell everybody when I tell them about Schertz, the most amazing thing that city has done is gone through an explosion of growth in the last 20 years and has done a fantastic job of keeping up with that growth. And I'm talking about with all the services. When I bought my house 9 years ago, roughly, I'm on the 13th fairway. At that time was the 4th fairway. At that time, that golf course was having problems. I wasn't concerned. The city showed great interest in that golf course. This is a top-rate city, and the opportunity that's before you, and I know I've talked with a couple of y'all and said a feasibility study was done. It wasn't feasible for y'all to try to buy the golf course. I'm just wondering, in that feasibility study, did y'all take into consideration how much tax revenue you're going to lose when the property values out there plummet? Because that golf course has grown up like a jungle. Yes, we all know the story. I've been to the golf course in Houston that this same owners let grow up. The difference is those homes were like $750,000 to $1.5 million homes, and it became a jungle. A city of this size and the draw that golf course can be is just phenomenal. It's not ever going to be a PGA course without putting millions and millions of dollars in it, and I don't think that's what we need to shoot for. Go back and make it a nice, attractable golf course like it was built to be. I don't know exactly what y'all can do. I would like to see it be bought by the city and become a municipal course and not be going through these problems every few years. I think you can take feasibility studies and do all you want with them, and I'm not saying that y'all were wrong for doing that. But I don't think that feasibility study gives you the whole picture of what's going on out there. And just look around. I was raised in a small town south of San Antonio called Pleasanton, Texas, if y'all are familiar with it. It's a much smaller city than this. They've got a really nice golf course that thrives out there. And there's no reason this course can't. I can tell you, since basically the owners did walk away from it, a year ago? The man that had been running it kind of set up an agreement with the owners. My understanding, there's all kind of rumors he was leasing it for a little of nothing, had no equipment, no money. I cannot tell you how many of our residents love that golf course and have put their own time, money, effort, and elbow grease in trying to keep that course going. Am I biased because I live on the golf course? Yeah, I probably am. But I can also see the big picture. And that's all I'm asking, folks, is just don't miss the opportunity you've got there. A city of this size should have a golf course that they can be proud of and that will be an asset to this city. And I think there's the prime opportunity. We don't have to go at it like Universal City did and build from the ground up and be in debt forever. Yeah, there'll have to be some money invested, but all in all, that's a nice laid out course. It just needs some TLC, major TLC. I don't know what y'all can do, but I think for the betterment of not just the residents out there, but the whole city, we need to dig for everything we can to try to save that course. And I'm not going to say at whatever cost, because that's an open-ended statement. But I really think you need to take not only that feasibility study, but pan it out and look at the big picture of things. I appreciate your time, and I hope you all will take a look at it and see what you can do. Thank you.
All right, Jan Baldwin.
Mayor Carpenter and the council, thank you for letting me speak tonight. I am a member of the North Cliff community living on Columbia at 3401. And I I have a question of the council. Is there any long-term golf course going to be proposed for the city? If we are going to invest money in a golf course, and a community of 100,000 people should be able to support a golf course like that, it would be much less money to purchase this one and bring it up to snuff rather than going on, say, over by Interstate 10 and purchasing that property and then developing it into a golf course. The second thing I have to say is feasible to make it into a 9-hole golf course. I know in general golf courses are declining, but the golf courses that are 9, people have time to go out and play it with their families. We see kids from the junior high, from the high schools and things like that. They're out there playing all the time. So, and then we have the Winter Texans that come down here to play the course. So perhaps we could look at that. I understand that the owner is out of China, and what he plans on doing is leaving it go to nothing. And therefore, what are we going to be left with? Can it be rezoned into some sort of recreational area? We've got golf cart paths there, instant money tracks. There's plenty of community. Maybe the little lake can be turned into some sort of a fishing hole, things like that. We're always looking for things to bring up the athletic things that our communities are changing and want those sort of things. The normal golf course is about 150 acres, and with that, if you split it up into 4 houses to an acre, we're looking at 600 additional homes with at least probably in the neighborhood of 3 cars. That's an additional 1,800 cars in that area. Right now, our streets can't even manage what we have. So are we going to be able to support that sort of thing? And then what can the city do to ensure that the greenery in that area stays green? Every time somebody comes in, like Evo or something like that, we see more and more and more cement and less greenery. Thank you.
Roy Jones.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name's Roy Jones, and I live at 3422 Wimbledon, and I'm a new resident.
You raise that microphone up just, you're way taller than I am.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's great.
Is that a little better?
Because if somebody wants to watch this later, if you're talking to the microphone, we capture the sound. So thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Please.
My family just moved to Schertz. One of the primary reasons for making the move was the golf course, the beauty of that golf course, the green space. And so we've been there a little over 2 months now, and so far some of the things I've seen are just wonderful. Our next door neighbor has a pine tree that must be 50, 60 feet tall, and there's a hawk's nest in that pine tree. 2 chicks in it right now that are getting ready to fly. And the parents go down and they feed on all the rough around the golf course. I sit out in the backyard and watch them flying and providing for their young ones. 30 years I lived in San Antonio. Never saw that. Sure, I see it when I go to Colorado or I go up into, farther out of town, but we have this beautiful, beautiful golf course. And if there's anything you can do, I see other things that are going on the golf course. First thing in the morning, there's joggers out jogging on the cart trails before the golfers are out there. I see the school buses at least once a week that are at the golf course so the kids can play golf. I really think this is something that if there's anything you can help us to avoid losing it, it would be a crying shame. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Richard Leon.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you for listening to me here. I live at 3761 Pebble Beach. My name is Richard Leon. What I have in my hand is what I'd like to give you guys and ladies to take a long look at this. Like the gentleman before me, two gentlemen before me, they went to Houston. I did the same thing. And I met one of the owners there, beside himself. You talk about a jungle, and this was only a few months after Darson and Newly closed it down. Pass them around, look at them, keep them when you're making your decision. This is what these two owners have done to that course in Houston, and they're going to do the same darn thing here in Schertz. And if I can, I'd like to show the audience, because there's people here that haven't seen these. If someone could please
Raise that.
help me with this.
James will help.
Okay, the first picture I'm going to show you is a gentleman in the middle of a fairway. That's hole number 11. The second one is number 2. That's what it looked like. This is what it looked like before Darson and then decided to close it down. Okay? That being said, when I went out there, this is hole number 2, what it looks like now. Okay? I'm going to show you hole number 11. Where that gentleman was swinging the golf club, I'm standing in the same place. That grass, I'm 6'4". They have not made an attempt to clean any of this up. The only areas that are clean is being done by the owners that live on the course. I don't know how many homes are there exactly, but when I went through the whole course, there was probably a half a dozen houses that could afford to keep their fairway cut, so they didn't have to look at this garbage. This is a gentleman that took me around. He's 6 foot tall. His fairway is nice and mowed, like our number 5. This is number 4. Retired, and he can only do so much work there. Hole number 5. This is what their cart paths look like. That was cart path to hole number 10. The gentleman that acknowledged the homeowners that are working out there, I'm not looking for a pat on the back, but I'm one of them. And there's a couple of, 3 or 4 of them that are here tonight. And like he said, we've been given our free time, not getting paid for it, putting many hours in. I put more hours in this golf course than I have my last job I had before I retired. And we've all put lots of money, and I'm not talking hundreds of dollars, I'm talking thousands of dollars. We need to keep the golf course. It's what this city needs, and I think, like the other gentleman over here called it a jewel, it can be a jewel. And I hope that when you decide what you're going to do, you'll take a second look at those pictures, because those are yours. All I have to say. Everybody has said the rest.
Thank you, sir. All right, looks like Stan Zidell. Again, if I mispronounce your name, you're welcome to correct me, please.
Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm also a resident of Northcliffe. Been out there since 1980, which is close to 40 years ago. Played a lot of golf on that golf course, and then until old age and back problems. But Roy was talking about that hawk. It's my tree that hawk lives. We sit there and watch that every day. We bought the home not strictly because of the golf course. It was a growing community back in '78 when it was built. We were one of the first occupants of our home. We watched the country club atmosphere that was there. It was very intriguing.
There was a country club you could eat in. There was a swimming pool for the family. There was tennis courts. They're right at the end of Wimbledon Drive. I don't know if anybody remembers those or not. All that has been taken away. And now, after the last gentleman showed those pictures, to see the deterioration of the golf course, which I have not walked out on in years, but it's just, it's embarrassing. I do believe that if some time and energy, whether it's from the city of Schertz or the community, we spend how much to go out and celebrate the 4th of July, you know, at what, Pickerel Park? Northcliffe could be a lot better than Pickerel Park. And that golf course could be, just as the gentleman said, you know, something that would be a selling stone for the city of Schertz. So I urge you to keep it somehow, make it municipal. It's not for men, it's for men, women, children, seniors like myself, and all of you will get there too. And if you like to play golf, it wasn't a better course in town. It wasn't. Now it's embarrassing. We need to put pride back into it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Rick Clifton.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Rick Clifton. I've lived on 3329 Columbia Drive for the last 17 years, and we moved here in 2002. I moved from California in a very beautiful spot, and I spent a career with Hewlett-Packard, retired from there. We moved here, we thought we found the most beautiful community and the most warm, friendliest, together community that we'd ever been in, and I've been all over the United States, moving with in the Fortune 500 companies. It's a combination of goodwill, a lot of ex-military like myself. It was just, it is a wonderful, special community, and what makes it that is the golf course. 10 years ago, I decided to get into the field of real estate. And I learned a lot of little different things about our community, more than I thought I would. One of the things I found out is that I could put pictures of houses, like 25 pictures, and I'd slip in one of the golf course. Well, we have a little way of measuring things on the internet, how many hits you get. And the golf course picture won every single time. We get more hits from people all over the United States looking up our golf course. One of the things I also am grateful for with the City Council is back in the days with Mayor Baldwin, I really liked that gentleman. He helped us out. And I felt there's something special about Schertz City Council. He came when my wife opened up her first business. She's a minority. She's a Chinese. She was a doctor in China, and this was her first opportunity to become a U.S. citizen and have her own business. And Mayor Baldwin personally came out with some members of the City Council and welcomed her at our grand opening. It's very special. The other thing, too, is the Schertz has done things like they've diverted the Carrizo Springs water supply to our community. It's also very special. You know, you don't have to get a water filter in our community. A lot of people don't know that. I remind them of that as a realtor. I said, we have some very special things here. I'd like to thank you for hearing me, and I know, based on what you've done in the past, that you're all going to do the right thing. Everyone here, I know. And we're, like it says, we're a special community. We all know each other. But thank you for hearing all of us and for doing the right thing. Thank you.
Jonathan McBride.
Mayor,
City Council. Thank y'all for having me. I'm Jonathan McBride. I lived at 5108 Eagle Valley Street in the Fairway Ridge subdivision. And I'm here to talk about the Northcliffe Golf Course, as many of my other neighbors here as well. Very concerned. I moved there 12 years ago. I retired from the Navy, and my wife and I picked Schertz purposefully because of the growing community, great school, Steele High School. Had one graduate there. I've got another one there. It's a freshman. I was never a golf player, really, when we moved there. I live on hole number 7, and I'll be honest with you, I just didn't want neighbors behind me at a golf course, which was great. But after living there for so long, my daughter became interested in golf during her freshman year. And I have seen her just absolutely fall in love with the sport. And it's partly because living there. She had never played before, and she actually finished 3rd this year. She beat Canyon and Clemens this year, so I was pretty proud of her, in this last tournament. It's proximity to the golf course. She has hopes and dreams, and I know, like the previous gentleman before me, I know that y'all are great, so this is a great city. I just hope that y'all will do the right thing and step in and help this place out, because it is beautiful. I love my view out my back window. I love sitting on the back porch in the evening and just looking out. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to us. And I look forward to hearing what y'all might be able to help us do with this. Thank you.
All right, Mary Burke.
With all the people from the golf course, and this is out of order. We live at 3737 Pebble Beach, and we live on the golf course. I came to ask the city, to consider keeping the golf course. The golf course has a lot of things that is valuable for. We have people who live out there that is senior citizen that get a lot of exercise on that golf course. They go and buy the little golf carts, have them looking like limo or whatever. They come out every day and play golf on the golf course. And we have people who have retired there. We have widows who live on the golf course, and they're going to live there until they die. Their husband is not there anymore, and people in that neighborhood always come to their defense. Anything they need, we have people who come and help them. And the golf course is where we live. It's just like we're all friends, we're all cousins, and I think that the golf course would enhance Schertz if they got it. We don't need to leave that. We don't need to lose that golf course, and we need to keep it. I've been to golf places in 49 states in the United States. And I have met, because my husband is a golfer, and I have met a lot of the people who live in those communities, and there are no other people anywhere like the people in Schertz, in Scenic Hill, and the other golf course. So, thank you. And there's one other thing I want to say is they left, but I'm going to say thanks to the EMS who came and got me on 1103 when I was in an automobile accident, and for talking to me and having me laugh about something before he stuck the needle in my arm. And also, the police of Schertz, and I don't know their names, the one that took my little dog and set him over there so he could see me and calm down, and then took him to my house. There's no other place but Schertz would do that. Thank you.
All right, DJ Thompson.
Hello, everyone, Mayor, City Council, all of my illustrious neighbors from Cibolo and Schertz, yay! I'm so happy to be here with you all tonight, and like you, Cliff, I've been here for 17 years, and I have seen a lot of changes, and even though Baldwin was a very good mayor, you're my favorite mayor so far, Mr. Carpenter, I just wanted you to know. And Scagliola, it's so good to see you still on the board, yay, and all the new people, new faces. I'm just so happy to be here today. And I just want to remind some of the new people, I know some of the older ones may remember, but in 2009, the city of Schertz, oh, excuse me, my name is DJ Thompson. I live at 3325 Charleston Lane. In 2009, Schertz, Texas, was voted the #1 place in Texas to live. Yay! And guess why? That golf course played a huge part in us being #1 in the state of Texas. Yay! So let's remember when reports and different things come back, that golf course put us on the map. And we've never been the same since. We had a lot of people living here then. And then it just went berserk after that. People would look and see the #1 place to live, and they all moved here, it seemed like, anyway. But I just wanted to remind you all that that golf course is an integral part of this entire community. I don't care where you live. If you live in the city of Schertz, you can say, I live in a golf course community. All of us can say that, whether we live on the golf course or anywhere near it. If we live in Schertz, Texas, or Cibolo, we have that right to say that. And guess what? When you say that, property values go up when you can say that. And we lived in a lot of golf course communities. So don't forget that. Don't let these reports and different things blind you to what's going on. And we will help you all. Whatever you need help, we are here to help you. We're not saying do it alone. Let us know what you need from us, and let us be there to back you up. We love you guys. We want to support you in every possible way that we can. And don't forget my name. I'll be the champion. I'll call people. I'll get out. You just don't know how many things I put on people's homes today to ask them to come today. But we love you all. We are here to support you. Please support us. Please keep that golf course. When we first moved here 17 years ago, we came to a golf course community, and we want to stay here. I thought today for a moment, oh my goodness, call a realtor, sell my home, move to another community that has a golf course. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I have the mayor, I have the city council, I have hope in you all. Yes, we have hope, right? Yes. Thank you for all that you will do to make this. And if they don't take care of that golf course, then confiscate it. Take it. You don't even have to pay for it. Just grab it. So thank you for your time.
Ma'am, you should run for office. Bill Edmonds. Bill here? Ah.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Bill Edmonds. I live at 4909 Crestwood Drive. I am the president of the Northcliffe HOA. Throw that out there. That golf course came in 1979, a long time ago. Just shortly after this city was incorporated, that golf course was there. It's been there 40 years. I've only been here 9 years. My wife's been here over 30. She remembers the fountain down front when it used to be there. Her youngest daughter was a lifeguard at the pool when that was still back there too. So she has a long time in here. She's taught me a lot about Schertz since I've been here. I love this city. The golf course has fallen on hard times, and the hard times it fell on was because of an absentee owner. All he wanted was the money coming in, and he took the money and didn't invest it back in the golf course. What used to be sand traps are now grass traps because he wouldn't pay the money for sand to fill them back up when they needed to be done. Dave Roberts, for the last 2 years, has put his heart, his soul, his reputation, his whole life. and to keeping that golf course open. Now, Dave had a $1 a year agreement with them to run that golf course so he could have his name on the property so he could pay the bills and stuff like that. For 2 years, he paid the bills with just what was coming in, even though the people were still going down and the people were playing there. So the golf course can be a moneymaker. That's been proven. Otherwise, somebody wouldn't buy it and take all the money out of it if it wasn't making money and still pay the bills. So there's a way the city can make money on it. There's a way you can keep the community happy and make this city shine. Now, the city used to hold golf tournaments out there. They don't hold them there anymore, though, do they? Why? Because there's another course down the road that's a little better condition than this one. Would you rather hold it in your own city and sit there and say, this is our golf course? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Fowler.
You expect me to beat that, huh?
I have every confidence, Jim.
I'm Jim Fowler, 1057 Boxer Pass, Schertz. And today, first of all, Mr. Mayor, I want to apologize to you because normally when we do something like this, a letter of appreciation, it usually goes to the mayor because you represent the council and the city. But this time, I thought it was kind of unique. I have seen in Mr. Brown 3 very important management styles. First, he listened to us when we came and made a visit, pitched, love where you live, asked questions. He was nice and took us, I think he took us under consideration. Second, when we had our April cleanup in Northcliff area, he shows up. And since he showed up, I would like to show you some of the things that he saw, if I could get this thing turned on. And third, not only did he come out and check us out in what we were doing,
it's on.
He participated. I don't see anything on the screen.
Can we switch it to the computer? There we go. We're up. We're up.
It was set up for a file I had. There it is.
There you
right
go.
there. Okay, that's the one.
I'll pull it up for you.
Thanks. It's supposed to come up. Computers always get me. But anyway, what I wanted to say is the activities of that wonderful day that we had in April. It started out with a great work day, which I think when you were there, and saw a lot of activity. And then tornado warnings, rainstorms. And then about 2 o'clock, we had sunshine. And we finished up the day about 5 o'clock and had accomplished about 4 of these dumpsters full of material that we had taken out. Things like tree limbs, bushes. We repaired roofs and helped neighbors that needed help, which is what we were all about. So I write this letter of really deep appreciation for what the city does and the synergism that I see when the city and volunteers get together and perform tasks in the city. It says, please accept my deep appreciation for supporting the city of Schertz and love where you live. In the community cleanup day in Northcliff on April the 13th. Our cleanup effort could not have been properly accomplished without your generous support and to include the support equipment and the employees' engagement. And that shredder was valuable. And you unloaded that stuff, so you know what we were going on. The project we completed supported homeowners who need help maintaining yards, trimming trees, bushes, and minor home maintenance. Many of the people we serve are elderly, disabled, widowed, and or just simply incapable of performing the work themselves or paying someone to do it. Your commitment to this initiative in helping our neighbors in need was instrumental in us completing our 7th successful cleanup day. It was a pleasure working with your team, and we are excited to work with you in the future. Our next event is tentatively scheduled for October the 5th of 2019, where we will serve our neighbors in need in another area of the Northcliff neighborhood. So, Mark, if I can call you that.
Excellent.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. All right, folks, I'm going to take a little bit of liberty as the chair, unless anybody on the council objects. We are not specifically posted to talk about the golf course this evening. We have to provide 72 hours of notice under the Texas Open Meetings Act before we can talk about things. But we are allowed to state matters of fact, matters of previously established policy, and we can place things on a future agenda. So a couple things you probably don't know. My youngest son finished high school this past Friday, which means that when we move him out to go to school, my wife and I will be empty nesters. On May the 6th, we went and bought a couple sets of golf clubs. About a week later, we joined Northcliff Golf Club. Now, those are statements of fact. So, several things. The first one is, I have no idea if the owner would even sell to the city of Schertz. I don't know. I don't know, based on what we saw when we had an outside group come in and take a look at this challenge, if those things that were discovered remain true today, or if it's even more expensive and more dire. I don't know that we as a city, given all the things that we need to do, can afford a golf course. However, a couple of things. The first one is this. And Mr. Santee, feel free if you need to stop me if I get outside the Open Meetings Act realm, but I'm also got a little bit of willingness to take a little risk with the DA. Local Government Code Title 12, Planning and Development, Subtitle A, Municipal Planning and Development, Chapter 372 is called Improvement Districts in Municipalities and Counties, and Subchapter A is called Public Improvement Districts. I give you all that information because I would like for some of you to read how a public improvement district, which is a special taxing district, gets set up in a municipality. One of the ways that occurs is simply by petition. So I want to scroll down, see if I can find the section. 372.005, and it reads like this. A petition for the establishment of a public improvement district must state the general nature of the proposed improvement, the estimated cost of the improvement, the boundaries of the proposed assessment district, the proposed method of assessment, which may specify included or excluded classes of assessable property, the proposed apportionment of costs between the public improvement district and the municipality or county as a whole, whether the management of the district is to be by the municipality or county, the private sector, or a partnership between the municipality or county and the private sector, that the persons signing the petition request or concur with the establishment of the district, and that an advisory body may be established to develop and recommend an improvement plan to the governing body of the municipality or county. So there is a method under state law where you can organize and set in motion potentially the establishment of a public improvement district that would, in part or in full, potentially pay for the acquisition of the golf course and its ongoing maintenance into perpetuity. It's definitely something to look at. It is a method available to us under the law that doesn't require an election. Is it heavy lifting? Probably. Given the numbers that we see from that previous study that we did, it's probably a $5 to $7 million effort. When we talked about potentially making an offer to the landowner for that golf course years and years ago, I think the number was $2.8 to $3 million just for acquisition costs. That's a bunch of money. If you think about the city of Schertz, total annual budget is about $80 million. Restricted funds for water, everything else. Roughly 60% of what we spend our general fund on are EMS, fire, and police. Not a lot of wiggle room in there. So that said, if you all would like to put together a group and explore establishing a public improvement district, we'll talk with you about it and see if that's feasible, see if that's something that could be done. I would also be willing to have a subcommittee of this council put together, much like we've done for improvements on Main Street, to work directly with that group, meet periodically as representatives of the council, not in a quorum, Mr. Santee, and continue discussions about what's possible. There's a way to get it done that causes no harm to the city of Schertz as a whole. I'd be interested in that. I would. We'll start the dialogue. We'll start the conversations. We'll see what's possible. So, if you will, for our next meeting, if you just put generally an item on the agenda for discussion by the city council on the status of the Northcliffe Golf Course. That way there'll be a forum and an opportunity for the council to speak about this at length on the dais should they desire to do so. But in the interim, again, sorry, I've got to scroll back to the top. Local Government Code Title 12, Subtitle A, Chapter 372 is the enabling legislation that would allow us to put together a public improvement district. We're really constrained. You bet. We're really constrained because we don't have this posted exactly the way on the agenda that we would like in order to stay in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. We can't really get into a dialogue with each other on the dais, but for that item to next time to include discussion of the formation of a subcommittee of the city council with regard to the same. And we'll start the dialogue. Actually, what we'll do is we'll continue the dialogue and the conversation, because we've been talking about this since I was elected in 2005. And there's never really been a solution that's presented itself. Perhaps now it has. We'll see. All right, so thank you all for joining us tonight. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to. If you came just for that portion, know that we're going to put something on the agenda for the next time, and we're willing to enter a dialogue with all of you as to what's possible. Okay? No, it's if you have 2,000 homes, 50% of the appraised value of those homes is what you have to have at both spots.
So the
Yeah, at the request of one of my council members, we're going to recess for about 10 minutes. Everybody a chance to.
that's what I was confused about.
We're going to go ahead and get started again. So it's I show 7:35, and we're back in open session. I'm going to go back in the agenda to the consent agenda items, several today. Item number 1, minutes, consideration or action. Regarding the approval of the minutes for the meeting of May 14, 2019, item number 2, resolution 19R63, consideration or action, approving a resolution by the city council of the city of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a contract with the Ovid Bell Press for the Schertz magazine printing contract and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 3, resolution 19R65, a resolution by the city council of the city of Schertz, Texas, approving and authorizing a water easement agreement with Schertz R1 LLC on Lot 3, Block 1 of the Schertz 3009 Subdivision 2 and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 4, resolution 19R64, a resolution by the city council of the city of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to enter into an interlocal agreement with the city of Cibolo regarding cost sharing for improvements to Wiederstein Road. Any of these that need to be pulled and considered individually?
Yes, Mayor. Number 2, please.
Any others? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the remainder?
So moved.
Second.
That was a tie.
I will defer to Councilman Edwards.
Got a motion by Mr. Edwards, second by Mr. Gutierrez. Any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, motion carries. All right, let's go to item number 2, which is a resolution by the city council of the city of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a contract with the Ovid Bell Press for the Schertz magazine printing contract, other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Larson, you asked that we pull this one. I'll give it to you first, sir.
Yes, I was looking through the numbers, and I do have a couple of quick questions. Just to make sure I'm speaking on truth. The $93,000 includes the printing and the distribution work, but of course postage is a separate line item, correct?
Correct.
And then do we have any ideas to why we had such difficulty getting bids on this particular project? I only saw the current contractor and one other one.
No.
Okay, that's all the questions
Sorry.
I have. All right, thank you. I wanted to pull it and talk to council. One of the things is I've learned some hammers you can hit with one fell swoop, and some just need multiple blows. So I'm going to take a couple more swipes at this one. I think looking at that $93,000, it was a reminder of our budget discussions And I think that we found some opportunities for savings for the Schertz magazine, but that the net loss to the city is still at around $150,000 a year total after advertising revenue. And then I'm looking at some of the meetings we've had where we have drainage ditches that need to be cleaned and we didn't have enough money to clean them. And we've got roads that need to be repaired and we don't have enough money to repair them. And we've got parks that need to be updated and we don't have the money to update them. And I think one of my favorite business books, although I guess now it's a little bit more disputed than it was at the time, but Jim Collins' Good to Great talked about organizations that were able to sustain excellence over a long period of time and to achieve results far better than their peers. And the thesis of that book was that those organizations that were able to maintain a high level of success for a long period of time did it by narrowly focusing on what they did, what their role was. I think that this city is growing fast and the pressures on our resources continue to grow. And we are a city. We are not a publisher. And we have significant issues that need to be addressed. If we don't address repairing our drainage ditches, what are the consequences? If we don't address our roads, what are the consequences? If we don't address maintaining our parks, what are the consequences? Now weigh those and balance that with what are the consequences of not printing the magazine? It's very different. And so I think as we take this change of pace for a community, we need to be focused on long-term sustained success. And the way we do that is we focus narrowly on what our job is. And that's being a city, not a publisher. And this is an opportunity to say, you know what? We're losing more money printing a magazine each year than we're budgeting for road maintenance. It's time to make a change and to focus on being a great community long term. And I think we should use this contract coming up as an opportunity to say, hey, it's time we focus on being a city.
Anyone else? No other comment? Is there a motion one way or the other on Resolution 19R63?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to disapprove Resolution number 19R63.
Appears the motion fails for lack of a second.
I'll second.
I have a second. Comments, questions from council? Not, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
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 I have 2 ayes and 5 nays. Given that, anticipating the will of the council, I'll move from the chair that we approve Resolution 19R63.
Second.
A second from Mr. Gutierrez. Other comments, questions from council? Here now, I'll call for a vote.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Nay.
5 ayes and 2 nays. The motion carries. Thank you, folks. All right. I'm going to move on now to discussion and action items. Resolution 19R66, a resolution by the City Council of City of Schertz, Texas, updating the fee schedule for fiscal year 2018 to 2019 and other matters in connection therewith. Good evening, Ms. Wood.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Dr. Brown, Mr. Santee. Thank you for your patience. So I'm here to talk to you guys about the House Bill 852. So last week, the governor signed a bill, House Bill 852, that regulates how cities can charge for residential building permit fees. Basically, they've updated the local government code to prohibit cities from assessing those residential building code fees by the valuation of the single-family dwelling or two-family dwelling or the cost of construction. Additionally, they've actually also required the cities not to require people to, or us to request a cost of construction on the project through contract or any other kind of disclosure. So We aren't able to ask for that anymore. And so based on that, on Friday, we were scrambling around so that we could comply with state laws. So Friday, all of this was drafted for you. And in an effort to do that quickly, we're one of the very few cities, all the ones I've talked to have basically are putting a moratorium and stop issuing permits, and that's something we didn't want to do. So currently we have adopted where we assess building permit fees based on the cost of construction on a graduated fee schedule. We do have some flat fee permits as well, but the larger single-family residential permits and larger construction projects for commercial new are on that graduated fee schedule. We're proposing to assess the new single-family residential based on a square footage of the dwelling unit, and then we still would have those miscellaneous permits that would be a flat fee. We actually have moved towards a flat fee for quite a few of the residential permits that were on cost of construction instead of going by per square foot. We did an average of those. This is actually our current cost of construction fee schedule. So we base the first permit fee, the first $1,000 on $50 for that permit, and then it's a graduated fee schedule after that. So wanted to show you how we actually do a building. I think we've gone through this with y'all before on how to calculate a building permit, but based on the current fee schedule that's adopted right now, we do that based on the cost of construction. And so our fee schedule shows that if you read down here towards the bottom, we base it on what ICC Building Code has a recommendation of. However, we're much lower than what the national average is. What we do is we take the square footage, we multiply it by a multiplier that we've determined, and we come up with the cost of construction. It's not actually the cost of construction for the house, but it's the multiplier we use for basing the fee structure on. The national average right now is $122.50 per square foot. We charge, or we had been charging $75 per square foot, and then we charge a 50% building permit plain check fee. This is the proposed new fee schedule. When you actually look at the fee schedule, it's been broken up. At first it was all together. Now the residential's at the top. There's an area for commercial construction, and then there's an area for all the other permits. And I'm happy to show you the entire schedule if you want to see it, but I just broke down the area where the changes happened. So what we did was, our thought process was we needed to get this moving through, so we actually took a building permit, or several building permits, and took the exact same fees that we have right now, did a calculation, and came up with a square footage that was comparable to what people are paying now for a building permit. And so that came out to, basically our minimum permit fee is $50, and then our cost of construction per square foot is 50 cents per square foot. And so I have a calculation for one that's at the 50 cents per square foot, and the difference is about $22.50 total on this permit. It's a 2,500 square foot. As I've gone through some today, because we actually, based on our recommendation from legal counsel, we ceased using the old fee calculations and started basing it on cost of square footage. And so I've done several, and some of the very, very expensive houses, most of them are less than $100 and change, but there are some that are going to be less, some that are going to be more. And the same with these permits here that have a flat rate. We took an average for the last year, and there are some that would have cost a lot more, some that cost maybe a little bit less, but ultimately we tried to do an average based on that. To come up with our fee schedule, just to get this in front of y'all so that we could actually be compliant with state law. So our goal through this was just to comply as quickly as possible, to have as little impact on our customers, whether that's monetary or basically just stop their work, period. We didn't have any intent in any of this as we were going through it to have any increase or decrease, just kind of status quo to keep us where we were at. We set that rate at a per square foot just for residential to be consistent with what we had, our current fees as well as the flat fees as well. And just so y'all know, this is only for residential construction. Commercial construction is the same. That House bill is only about residential, and so we have not made any changes to the way we assess commercial permits. So with that being said, any questions?
All right, Dr. Scagliola.
Yeah, I was wondering, are there any individuals already in the pipeline that this would directly affect?
So yes. So that's what I spent today going through all the new single-family residential ones that are ready to be picked up. And we had probably about a dozen of them that are like ready right now, come and get them. Actually, probably more than that. It's closer to 15. And they fluctuate. Everything is, the changes are less than $100 either way. It's only on the building permit fees. It doesn't affect any of the capital recovery fees or anything like that. It's just the building permit fees. And as you can see, the 25, oops, what just happened? As you can see, the permit fee on this one is the example for our current cost of construction was $1,235, and the new is $1,250 at 50 cents per square foot.
Mr. Brown?
Wow.
Yeah, just, I just had a couple questions brought up on some of these permits, electrical permit, mechanical permit, and plumbing, $60 for repair or replacement. I understand replacements, but repairs, at what point do we call a repair? Or is this every time I call the HVAC guys out on a service call?
No. No, it is not. So if you have them come out to service your unit, they don't have to get a permit to do that. But if they are making repairs to the unit, replacing the furnace, the condenser, anything outside, major repairs, then they would have to get a permit for that.
Contactors and things along that line?
No, just general maintenance, no, but any large.
Yeah, and it doesn't specify.
Yeah.
It's awful open.
Sure, understood. Understood, and it's a trade. Some of these things are typical for trades, and it's not unusual outside. I wish Gil was here because he could probably give you the technical jargon on all of that stuff. But we are very, we try to be very lenient with folks. So if it truly is something that if it's nothing that's major, then usually we'll tell people, no, you don't need a permit for that. It's more life safety things we're looking at, not just minor maintenance.
Okay, just such an open way of saying it.
Okay, we can take a look at that.
Maybe we can tighten it up sometime in the future.
Is that a change, though, or is that the way it's always been?
That's the way it's always been.
So we're not
we do have
changing
a
that
we
part
do
of it.
have a list of things that require repair. So if you go to our website and you look under electrical, it'll say there's an entire list of things that are required, permits required for repair. But truly, the building code says any alteration, repair, addition, remodel. It's not specific either. It's very open-ended as
Okay,
well.
thanks.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 19R66?
I make a motion to approve 19R66.
Second. A motion from Mr. Brown, a second from Mr. Edwards. Any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
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 7 ayes, no nays, motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. And many more changes to come with what the legislature has done in their completion of their work yesterday. All right, next up is a workshop discussion and update on the employee engagement survey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. While Lindsay's getting this pulled up, I just want to kind of summarize for you all where we've been and where we are tonight and how we got there. So back in November, Lindsay and I were in front of you whenever we first presented the results of the employee engagement survey. We also talked about an idea for how we could practically apply the feedback and the information received from the survey, and what we called was the best practice workshop. So for those that remember, they consisted of facilitators or the department heads that scored higher in the constructs that we were looking at, and then the attendees or department heads that was a lower score. We did indicate that we were going to come back here regularly and provide council with updates, and so the last time that we were in front of you guys was back in February, and we were in the middle of the meetings. And so where we are today is that we have gone through, have finished all the meetings with the constructs, and each of the departments were tasked to come up with at least one SMART goal for each of the constructs they were a part of. So each department will have 3 SMART goals. This has been submitted to their assistant city manager. We have briefed Dr. Brown on it as well. And then as part of it, we had initially thought about doing action plans tied to these SMART goals. But as we were going through the meetings and talking with department heads, it was, I think, more beneficial to come up with a communication plan. Because that's something that, we hear from staff is the communication out is lacking at times. And so along with each SMART goal is a communication plan that is tied to that. And so all that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay, and she's going to show you guys an example and where we are right now.
Thank you. So just to start, Sarah mentioned communication being an issue that we heard from employee and a concern. And so with that, we've posted all the submitted SMART goals and communication plan on an easily accessible SharePoint site. So all employees have access to go on and not only view their departments, but any other department's SMART goals or communications plans within the city. And just an example of one of the SMART goals that we wanted to share with you guys this evening is one that Human Resources did. So from the feedback we received from employees and other department heads, one of the things that we weren't doing very well on was getting feedback from employees on our onboarding process and then the training that they received in the first 30 days of their employment and 90. So one of the things that we automated was a new hire survey just to check in with them to find out how they're doing and any feedback that we can get and ways to improve our processes. And just a couple other plans and goals that were shared were a dedicated training plan per position so that employees have a little bit more guidance when they're being newly onboarded into their role. Sharing things by utilizing Microsoft SharePoint and the Microsoft Teams app to help communicate things out to employees, and then recognizing not only employees that are doing great things within the city, but also departments throughout the Schertz short. And to communicate this information, we plan to first start with department heads and allow them to go on and navigate the SharePoint site where we posted all this information. And then on Monday, this coming Monday, our next Schertz short will be coming out. And so we're going to be communicating the site and how to access it to employees so they can go on and start reviewing the information. And then department heads will be expected to continue to provide their assistant city managers with updates on the progress of their SMART goals and communication plans. And then lastly, throughout the remainder of the meeting, several department heads expressed interest in reconvening a few months down the road to just touch base on how their goals are coming, the communication plans, and then if any tweaks are necessary to the goals. Any questions?
Very good. Questions, anyone? Well, and look, a couple of the slides look like they were just a couple of bullets on there. Those bullets represent a lot of work. It's no small thing. I mean, I work in a large organization. We struggle with these same things. We've put into place a number of things that you put in here, and it's heavy lifting. But it is a positive cultural change, too, as we continue to move forward. I mean, if you think about it, 10 years ago, we didn't do an engagement survey with our employees. We've come a long distance. So I would just like to say I appreciate the amount of work that's going into this. It is valuable. I do believe it'll serve us in the long term. And please continue. I know it's a lot of work. I know it can be overwhelming sometimes, but it's good work. And if I may speak on behalf of the council, we really do appreciate it. The health of the organization is reflective of the health of the city. All right? Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, we do have a need to go into a closed session this evening. City Council will meet in closed session under sections 551.071 and 551.072 to seek the advice of its attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney as to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with the Act, and to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, to wit, certain water and wastewater rights and associated real property rights and available options. So at this time, at 7:56, we are going to go into closed session, and we'll return as quickly as we're able. 3. And next item on the agenda, we'll go back to the roll call vote confirmation in just a moment. The next item on the agenda is item 7A. Take any action based on discussions held in closed session. Under agenda item 7A, there is no discussion to be held. So at this time, we'll have the roll call vote confirmation, and then we will move to wrap up.
The first is consent items 1, 3, and 4. Councilmember Edwards made the motion. Councilmember Gutierrez made the second. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward voted yes. Councilmembers Davis, Gutierrez, Larson, Edwards, Scagliola, and Brown voted yes. Motion passed. Item number 2, Resolution 19R65. Councilmember Larson made a motion to disapprove. Councilmember Edwards made the second. Councilmembers Larson and Edwards voted yes. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward voted no. Councilmembers Davis, Gutierrez, Scagliola, and Brown voted no. Motion failed. Motion was then made from the chair, and I didn't get the second, Mayor, on that.
Who seconded the motion from the chair when I made that? Was that on the magazine publishing? I think it was Mr. Gutierrez.
Okay.
And confirm that with the recording.
Yes.
And if it is different, go ahead and make the
It
change, but I
usually
believe it was.
doesn't show, okay.
Okay.
So Mayor Pro Tem Hayward voted yes. Council members Davis, Gutierrez, Scagliola, and Brown voted yes. Council members Larson and Edwards voted no. Motion passed. Item number 5, Resolution 19R66. Councilmember Brown made a motion. Councilmember Edwards seconded. Mayor Pro Tem Hayward voted yes. Councilmembers Davis, Gutierrez, Larson, Edwards, Scagliola, and Brown voted yes. Motion passed.
Very good. Next, we'll go to requests and announcements. Announcements by the city manager. You have anything further tonight, Dr. Brown? Very good. Requests by the mayor and council members that items be placed on a future city council agenda. Anything that we need that we don't currently have? Mr. Edwards?
Mr. Mayor, I noticed that Live Oak became a Purple Heart city, and I sent an email over to Mr. Brian James, and I was going to find out if we can bring that topic up again.
We
Well,
are
don't
a
have
Purple
the
Heart
sign-
city.
We don't have the signs
No.
showing that, if we get those signs.
We're looking at that. Okay, we're looking.
Thank you.
What the
You good just having Dr. Brown get back with you?
Yes,
Okay.
sir, that'd be great.
Anyone else? All right, in that case, we'll go to announcements with the mayor and council members. We'll start with Mayor Pro Tem Hayward.
Mayor, I attended the Council on the Go at Laurel Ingalls Wilder Intermediate School, and having the opportunity to connect with residents was a pleasure. I had the opportunity to attend a staff development meeting, and I got insight on the process for development, and I was enlightened by what goes on behind the scenes. I attended the Santikos VIP opening, and what I see from that is it'll just give the communities, surrounding communities, some different type of entertainment and employment. I went to the Subaru ribbon cutting in Selma, and as they were making the announcements, they kept saying Schertz, Selma Subaru. So now Schertz owns a Subaru dealership. I also attended the EMS award banquet, and the guest speaker, Chief Scott Lell, was a dynamic speaker, and he talked on first impressions in service, and if you remove like paramedics and EMTs, it would apply to us all, and it was a great event that was hosted. Also went to the Schertz EMS Take 10. I didn't attend the class on the 10-minute CPR, but I did, because I already know how to do CPR, but I got enamored with the ambus, seeing what it looks like and the capacity and how they can manage to take on several patients. The other thing that caught my attention that was eye candy was the Life Flight helicopter that was from Children's Methodist Hospital. I saw the inside and realized how compact it was, that they have very little space to work on you. And I thought it would be a lot larger. And then I'd like to thank the Schertz VFW 8315 for the honored pleasure of being a guest speaker at the Memorial Day. And to thank you, because of your opportunity, I had the opportunity to speak. And knowing that this was a special opportunity that's afforded one day out of the year to give thanks and show our gratitude for those that died serving our country for our freedoms, and to pay tribute to their families for their sacrifice. And it's always an overwhelming day for me. And I'd like to say thanks to everybody that put on these special events in the city. It was great. We have an awesome city, and I truly love it, and other people should eventually take time to go to some of these events. That is all.
Very good. Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir. I attended the Santikos opening, and again, as Councilwoman Haywood stated, I think it's a good opportunity for increased recreation now for both of our cities, Cibolo and Schertz. I also had the pleasure of attending the EMS Awards banquet. Great time, good event, and kudos to the staff to put that on.
Good. Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes, attended the later chamber luncheon. Great presentation regarding tech stock and the projects that are scheduled to come to our area in the near future. Thanks to the staff for putting on that Council on the Go presentation. We really did appreciate that. I also attended the EMS Awards banquet. What a fantastic event. Had a great time. And I also want to say thank you to the City of Claiborne Fire Department for sharing Scott Leo as our guest speaker. Great presentation. Went to the CPR training. I didn't take the training myself either, but it's a good way to clean the parking lot. Just have the helicopter come over here and just blow everything out. And attended the Memorial Day ceremony at the Veterans Plaza. Thanks to all who have served and sacrificed so much. Thank you. And this afternoon, I also attended the Senior Center Job Fair. Thanks to the Economic Development for putting this together. That's all.
Good. Mr. Larson?
Nothing.
Nothing, sir.
Dr. Scagliola?
Okay, ditto on the chamber luncheon, council on the go, Santikos, and Chief, thank you so very much for a wonderful banquet, EMS. That's all I have, sir.
Very good. Mr. Brown?
Ditto, 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 ditto. And gentlemen, it was really neat to see how well we work together with our surrounding communities. You know, you had Live Oak and Selma and everybody else out here. So I just think it just adds so much to our regional community. So thank you.
Very good. And thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hayward, for presiding, or at least being the guest speaker, I should say, at the Memorial Day ceremonies here in Schertz yesterday. For anybody that's watching, wondering why your mayor wasn't here in the city for our Memorial Day ceremony, I was invited to give the welcoming remarks at the cemetery at Fort Sam Houston, and it was quite remarkable. And you'd be amazed at the number of people that were present, and frankly, there in that environment on the grounds. Where all those heroes and patriots are buried is pretty overwhelming. We're very blessed to live in these United States. We're very blessed to live here in the city of Schertz, and with that, there's nothing else from staff or from council. We stand adjourned.